We've just had a remarkable mining boom. We had the Chinese decided to build more bridges and more roads and more cities than have ever been built before. And so they needed a lot of steel. And we had the makings of that. We had the coal and the iron ore, and the prices went through the roof. And at the same time, there was growth in India and right through the region. It's a massive economic growth. Economic growth of a scale and at a pace that is never seen before in human history. But we are living in remarkable times, my friends. I mean, 40 years ago, which for you young people here seems like an eon. I mean, like there was an ice age 40 years ago, presumably. There wasn't actually. It was not quite that long ago. But 40 years ago, which many of us know is not that long ago, China, now almost certainly the biggest economy in the world, barely engaged in the global economy. It was barely involved, and all of that change has happened, you know, in a lifetime, less than a lifetime. Now, what that's meant is that we got this great increase in investment. We responded. We built new mines and we built new infrastructure, and it created a lot of jobs. And then, inevitably, once it was built, the production continues. The prices came back because there was more supply, but of course the construction jobs weren't there. That was always going to happen. And do you know, there are economists and brilliant men and women of business who predicted that the Australian economy would fall into a hole, and that we would go backwards the way Brazil did and the way Canada has in large measure, two other big resource economies. But we are seeing such diverse growth and opportunity across our country because of the enterprise, the imagination, the hard work and the opportunities that we have in Asia for all right around Australia. Last year, there was across Australia more jobs were created than ever before, at least since 2006, 301,000 jobs. Now again, I know there's been job losses here in Mackay, but we are seeing a transition which is driving greater opportunities. You know, the mining business is not, the resources business is not creating as many jobs as it was. And again, that adjustment was inevitable. But we have most of the world's, or by 2020, most of the world's middle class will be living in East Asia. And they all want wonderful food to eat. They want to have they want food and fibre, they want to go on holidays, they want to have tourism, they want to deal with advanced manufacturers, they want to have great designs, they want to have good services, all right, engineers, architects, the whole bit. Right across the board, we are on the edge of the fastest growing markets in the world. And our government has opened those doors much wider. Can I say to you young, not picking on you by the way, but you shouldn't have stood in the front row if you didn't want to. But normally this clearly isn't mass Barnaby, everyone would be down the back, you know, the first 10 pews would be empty. But clearly but what I'm saying to you, really, you have opportunities available to you that your parents wouldn't have imagined, or let alone your grandparents. And it's because we're at this time of such rapid economic change, and that brings these opportunities. So what are we doing about it? Well, we're investing in infrastructure right across the country. As you know, there's $6.7 billion into the Bruce Highway. There's two $500 million projects right here, just in this electorate. Barnaby mentioned the Mackay Ring Road as one of them, the Horton Bridge is the other. Both regrettably held up because the state government, we're providing I think 80% of the money, Barnaby, and the state government can't get on with it. So we're trying to stir the Premier up to get on with it, but there's a lot of jobs in that. We're building out the NBN right across the country. It'll be coming to, starting in Mackay early next year, but that's a big construction job all around Australia. Left in a terrible mess by the Labor Party, we're sorting it out. It's one of those rare cases of a bad project that doesn't get worse, it's actually getting better. And Barnaby spoke passionately about water. Barnaby and I have many passions in common. One of them is good prices for graziers. Another one is water. And water is the source of all life. And it is the source of industry, it's the source of agriculture, it's the source of strong economic growth. And we have most of our water in Northern Australia. but very little, actually, of our water infrastructure. In other words, we don't have enough dams, we don't have enough pipelines, we don't have enough irrigation systems, even though this is where most of the water is. Now, we have committed $5 billion to the Northern Australia Infrastructure Fund. That's not only for water, of course. We also have another $500 million for a water fund, and we're looking at a series of projects right now. And we are committed. I tell you, Barnaby and I are absolutely of the same mind. We need to use the massive water resource of Australia better. We need to use it to grow more food and grow more fibre for those markets that, at the same time, due to the really great advocacy and negotiating skills of Andrew Robb, have been opened up. Andrew Robb, who's, as you know, is retiring as Trade Minister, and he's, what a talk about getting out on top. Andrew's deals, the Korea Free Trade Agreement, the Japan Free Trade Agreement, and the China Free Trade Agreement, that deal with China, that is the best trade deal China has done with any other country. It is the best, bar none. And it has opened up enormous opportunities right across the board, particularly for Australian agriculture, but not just for agriculture, for services as well. And then there's the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is also a similar big free trade deal. So we have enormous opportunities. The growth potential is there in every part of Australia. There are adjustments, difficulties occasioned by these big structural adjustments, and it is harder in a town or a city like Mackay, which doesn't have the scale of the range of diverse industries and alternatives, say, that Sydney, where I live, or Melbourne or Brisbane does. So we are very keenly aware of the challenges that you face. We are very keenly aware of the importance of investment in infrastructure, and we have the money to do that. And we need good, strong partnership from the state government, but we also need to make sure the money is well spent. You have a singularly determined, high impact, extremely persuasive advocate in George Christensen. Your concerns have as much chance of going unnoticed as George does. He is a big player. He is a big player. He leaves his mark wherever he goes, and when he speaks, everyone listens. He is impossible to ignore.
You're blushing, George.
So does he?
He's just blushing.
Oh, that's good. That's good. He looks a bit pinker. It's all right. But no, we're very committed to that. And look, it is as Barnaby said, we are in total agreement on the need for infrastructure in this, right across Australia, particularly in this part of Australia. We're totally in agreement on water, and we know that that is going to be the source of a broader and more diversified economy that will provide more and better and higher quality jobs right across the board. It's always diversity in industries is so important, because if one sector has a downturn, the other sector will be having an upturn. So thank you very much for being here. I look